students, this is video 11. So we will continue with the renal disorders. So I hope you have gone through the classes. So today's condition will be pyelonephritis. So talking about the definition, pyelonephritis, it is an inflammation of the renal pelvis and parenchyma caused by the bacterial infection. So because of the invasion of the bacteria which infects the renal parenchyma and the renal pelvis, this condition is called as pyelonephritis. We'll see what are the various etiology and risk factors. So, calcium, so when there is a lot of calcium in the body, hypercalcemia or malignancy because of tumors, which is cancerous, and hydronephrosis, which is a fluid distension in kidney or fluid accumulation which leads to distension in the kidney, then trauma, any injury, bacteria, as we have seen already, right? So E. coli, one of the main causative organism is E. coli. So here you have again two classifications. Under types of pyelonephritis, we have acute and chronic. So when we say acute pyelonephritis often occurs after bacterial contamination of the urethra or after introduction of an instrument such as catheter or a cystoscope. So it happens because of the bacterial contamination which can happen in the urethra, or it can be because of unsterile or contaminated cystoscope. So cystoscope or any catheter which has been introduced into the ureter. So cystoscope, we know that it is an instrument which is which is used to visualize the bladder. If it is contaminated, then it can introduce the bacteria. Then chronic pyelonephritis, it occurs after chronic obstruction with reflux or chronic disorder. So when we say reflux in the renal disease, it is mainly urethral reflux. Okay, and we know what happens in this. The urine starts flowing backward. Okay, and then that could be one of the cause, or it can be because of gradual progressive disease. Gradually, when the kidney is actually getting infected or getting damaged. So this can also become one of the main cause of chronic pyelonephritis. Now coming on to the pathophysiology. In case of acute pyelonephritis, what happens we all know already, like bacteria, it spreads to the kidney primarily by ascending the ureter to the kidney. So from urethra it enters into the ureter, from ureter it goes into the kidney, the bacteria. Then we see that blood and lymphatic circulation also provide channels for the organism. So from there it enters into the blood and it also gets infected. Then we see like other causes, urethral reflux. So in this we have seen how there is a backflow of the infected urine into the ureter, and then we see that there is an obstruction. Okay, so it can be one of the cause which causes urine again back into the ureter and allows organism to multiply in the renal system. So once if it goes back into the ureter, it gets stagnated, it gets infected, okay, and then it can affect all of the renal system. So again what happens, from there bacteria enters into the pelvis, so that leads to inflammation of the pelvis. Then within the kidney, you will see that edema start papillae extends to cortex. So it affects the papillae of the kidney as well as the cortex of the kidney, and then because of this infection it leads to fibrosis, which is scar tissue formation, which again leading to altered tubular reabsorption, which leads to impaired renal function causing pyelonephritis. Okay, so that is the pathophysiology. So we have seen how invasion of the bacteria, it enters and it also infects the blood. Then there is a urethral reflux, okay, and there is a obstruction that causes backflow of the urine into the infected urine into the ureter. Then their colonization happen. Again from there it enters into the renal pelvis, the infected urine. Then after entering into the pelvis, it affects the papilla leading to edema and the cortex. Then after affecting both, it actually leads to fibrosis or scarring. Scarring happens, and after scarring what happens, renal altered tubular reabsorption. Okay, so the urine is not being absorbed, reabsorbed, or the tubular reabsorption is not happening. Then that leads to impaired renal function leading to pyelonephritis. Okay, so clinical manifestation when we talk, So the patient will have enlarged kidneys, focal parenchymal abscess will be there because of the infection, accumulation of the polymorphonuclear around and in renal tubular. Then you will see acute distress will be there. Okay, and then high fever with chills, nausea, flank pain. Already we have seen all these costovertebral angle, CVA tenderness will be there at the sides, flank. Then you have headache, muscle pain, dysuria, frequency, urgency. These are all the signs of urinary tract infection, cystitis, inflammation of the bladder. The urine may be cloudy or bloody, is foul smelling, marked increased in WBC and CAS chronic pyelonephritis. Okay, so the urine also can become bloody or cloudy. Already there is a scarring, right? Fibrosis formation, foul smelling, and marked increase in WBC, which shows that there is an infection, and CAS chronic pyelonephritis, hypertension, abnormal laboratory test, azotemia, increased nitrogenous waste, pyuria, pus in the urine, anemia because of the hematuria, acidosis, and proteinuria. Protein also is lost in the urine. Okay, so these are the various clinical manifestation. Next we will go to diagnostic procedures. So as we know, history collection, physical examination, urine analysis. You can collect the urine and we can do the analysis, urine culture to find out which kind of bacteria has affected USG of the abdomen, of the kidney, and then CT scan. Okay, so we will be able to visualize in a good way. And then voiding cystogram, cystourethrogram, that is also called as VCUG, the abbreviation. So this is nothing but it is an invasive test that is done which uses special X-ray called fluoroscopy. So this will help in visualizing the urinary tract and bladder. So it is an invasive test where they will use special X-ray to visualize, okay, the urinary tract and the bladder. So the instrument what they use under this is called as fluoroscopy. Then you have digital rectal examination. So this is a test which is done for both men and women, and it is used to detect digitally, okay, if there is any cancer in the lower abdomen, okay, or in the men they will mainly find out if there is a prostate cancer. It also helps in visualizing of the rectum, pelvis, okay, lower rectum, pelvis, and then any other health associated problem can be identified through this digital rectal examination. It is a test which is done for both men and women. It examines the lower rectum, pelvis, and lower belly for cancer, and in men prostate cancer also can be detected, and then it also detects any other associated health problems. Okay, so that is digital rectal examination. Next, talking about dimer-captosuccinic acid scintigraphy. So scintigraphy is nothing but this scan, okay. Scintigraphy is a scan which uses this dimer-captosuccinic acid. This acid is used in assessing renal morphology. The whole structure of the kidney can be observed, okay, and their functions can be observed. So it is a scan which is done by using this dimer-captosuccinic acid to assess the morphology of the kidney and the structure and its function. Okay, next we will go to management. So first we will talk about acute pyelonephritis, and then we will see chronic pyelonephritis. So for acute pyelonephritis, we have to give antibiotic therapy to the patient based on the urine culture. So urine culture, we will find out which kind of bacteria is affected. So accordingly, to treat that kind of bacteria, the antibiotics should be prescribed by the physician. Sulfonamides are the combination of sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim is commonly used as first line therapy. Okay, so they will be given sulfonamides with sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim. So it is given as a first line therapy. Next you have antibiotic therapy continues for 10 to 2 weeks. For 10 days to 2 weeks they will give the antibiotics. Then IV antibiotics also may be administered through IV injection. Then recurrent infections are commonly treated with long-term prophylactic antibiotic therapy. If the infection is prolonged for a longer time, then they will give the antibiotic. Now talking about chronic pyelonephritis, so here also same antibiotic specific to the bacteria. After the culture only they will be able to find out and treat this disease. Then hypertension will be there in the patient, it has to be controlled, okay, and then reduction of dietary sodium they have to reduce. Then pharmacological treatment can be given. And then according to the symptoms, then urine analysis, check proteinuria, perineal hygienic measures also is very important, because what happens, the patient will be voiding, right? So we should make sure that good perineal hygiene is given. Then acidification of the urine by drinking cranberry juice or taking ascorbic acid can be done, so that the urine can be acidified. So this has to be given to them. Ensuring adequate fluid intake, if not contraindicated. Follow-up cultures are important. Cause of obstruction, if there is any obstruction, that has to be treated. Now coming on to nursing management, because we have seen chronic happens because of obstruction and ureteral reflex. So the underlying cause has to be treated. So when talking about nursing management, assessment, history and physical examination, giving close attention to the presence of risk factors. Previous, we have to collect if there is any UTI, hypertension, CVA tenderness, that is costo-vertebral angle. Then assess the patient's temperature. Every 4 hours we have to assess and report if temperature is above 38. That we have to see if the patient has got fever, then we know that the infection has not come down, so that has to be reported. Record the characteristics of urine, if there is any pus, white, cloudy, hematuria, all this observation. Then urine output, maintaining intake and output chart is very important. Monitor re-examination of the urine culture. So after we have started with the antibiotic, again urine culture can be sent to find out if there is still the presence of the infection. Then instruct the patient to empty the bladder completely each time the bladder. So the patient should completely empty, okay, each time he goes to void. Then give perineal care, maintain to keep them clean and dry, because already we have seen acute can be caused because of the bacterial invasion. So good perineal hygiene should be encouraged, and for patients who are not able to do it, should be given by the nurses. Assess the intensity, location and factors that aggravate or relieve pain. If the patient has got pain, make sure to assess the intensity, the kind of pain, duration of the pain, characteristics of the pain, okay. And then already if there is a subscription for the analgesics, please give, otherwise inform to the physician and ask for them to prescribe medicine as per their order. Then provide adequate rest periods and activity levels that can be tolerant, which should be tolerant to the patient. It should not be too exhausting to the patient. And then encourage drinking plenty of water, that is 2 to 3 liters, if no contraindications. So for renal patients, usually we put them on low intake, fluid intake. So we have to make sure if there is no contraindication, for this case we can give them about 2 to 3 liters, and we follow as per the physician's order. So how much ever they ask us to give them, only that should be given, and the intake and output chart should be maintained. Then give appropriate analgesic drugs with therapy program. So make sure that you provide analgesic as per the order, okay. So any complaints, again we can refer it to the physician as soon as possible, so they can be treated. So in this video we have seen what is pyelonephritis, its definition, etiological factors, 2 types or classification, acute and chronic, pathophysiology, clinical manifestation, various diagnostic tests, then management for acute and chronic, and the various nursing management, okay. So we end with this condition in this video.